All right, today we're going to talk about something that affects pretty much all of us at some point, our skin. Specifically, those little growths that can just pop up and leave you wondering, let's get some answers. You know the feeling, right? You're just minding your own business, and boom, you find some mysterious new lump or bump, and that first thought that pops into your head is, uh-oh, what is this thing? And look, it's totally normal to wonder about it, because even when these growths are completely harmless, and they usually are, they can still be a real pain. Literally, they can get irritated by your clothes, or maybe you're just not thrilled with how they look. So let's just dive right in and start breaking down this very common concern. We're going to demystify three of the most common skin growths out there: warts, skin tags, and these things called lipomas. By the time we're done, you'll have a way clearer idea of what they are and, what you might want to do about them. So what exactly are we dealing with here? The first step is just knowing what's what, right? It's crucial to understand how different these three things really are. Okay, first up, warts. The main thing you got to remember about warts is that they're caused by a virus, the human papillomavirus, or HPV. That virus basically tells your skin to make way too much of this hard protein called keratin, and that's what creates that rough, bumpy texture we all recognize. So, if they're caused by a virus, that leads to a pretty obvious next question. Can you spread them around? And the answer is a big old yes. Because it's a virus, warts can absolutely spread from person to person. This can happen through direct skin contact or even just by touching something an infected person has touched, like a gym floor or a towel. Next up, we have skin tags, and these are a completely different ballgame. They're not caused by a virus at all. They're really just soft, harmless little growths of skin. You usually find them in places where your skin is constantly rubbing against itself or your clothes. Think your neck, your armpits, places like that. And last but not least, the lipoma. Now, the big difference here is that this isn't on your skin, it's a lump under it. It's just a soft little collection of fat cells that grows super slowly, and it feels kind of rubbery if you poke it. And the most important part, they are almost always harmless. Okay, so now we know what these things are. But that brings us to the real million-dollar question, right? When does a little bump go from a minor annoyance to something you really need to get checked out? So here's when you should really think about seeing a doctor. If a growth starts getting bigger or changing how it looks, that's a sign. Or if it's constantly irritated, bleeding, or becomes painful. And hey, even if you're just worried about how it looks, or you're just not sure, those are perfectly good reasons to get a professional to take a look.
But let's really zero in on this. Out of all those reasons, what's the one thing you should really be looking for? What's the major red flag?
It's this: rapid change. Seriously. If any spot on your skin starts changing fast, we're talking size, color, or shape, that's your signal. Don't wait. That's the one thing you really need to remember for your own peace of mind. All right, so let's say you've decided to go in. What happens next? What can you actually expect when you see a professional? Let's take a peek at how these things are actually treated. Well, the treatments are usually pretty quick and straightforward. For warts, a common method is to literally freeze them off. For skin tags, they often use a technique with heat to remove them. And for bigger things under the skin, like a lipoma, it's typically a simple surgical removal. Of course, the two questions everyone has are, is it going to hurt? And how long is recovery? Well, the great news is these procedures are done with local anesthesia, so you feel minimal discomfort. And recovery? Super quick. Most people are all healed up in just a week or two. Okay, we've covered the what, the when, and the how. So for this last part, let's talk about the who. Why is it so important to see an actual professional for this stuff, even if it seems like no big deal? Well, think about it. You're getting care from people who are specially trained for these exact procedures. You're in a totally safe, sterile environment. And this is a big one. If there's any doubt, they can send a sample to a lab for testing right then and there. Plus, they know exactly how to care for the wound to keep scarring to an absolute minimum. And this really is the bottom line. Getting it checked out isn't just about the physical treatment. It's about that incredible feeling of relief. You're trading in all that what-if anxiety for actual peace of mind. So just take a second and think about that. Instead of guessing or worrying in the dark, what could that feeling of just knowing, of having real peace of mind about your own skin, what could that feel like for you?